Iran has warned the European Union nations amid the ongoing conflict with Israel and the United States. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmaeil Baghaei has said that EU countries would pay the price sooner or later if they remain silent on the U.S. Israeli offensive against Tehran. According to a Reuters report, Baghaei, while speaking to Spanish broadcaster TVE, reiterated Iran's denial that a missile intercepted in Turkish airspace was launched from Tehran. Europe has swung into a defensive mode, with the nations rushing to protect their military bases and evacuate citizens caught up in the conflict. The Middle East is home to some of Europe's key trading partners and a number of strategic trading routes. While refusing to directly join the war, European nations like Britain, France, and Germany have said they would work with the United States to help stop Iran's attacks.
For a number of weeks now, we've been pre-deploying our capabilities to the region. In doing so, we've been liaising very closely with the United States, as the House would have expected. Therefore, radar systems were pre-deployed, ground-based air defence was pre-deployed, counter-drone systems were pre-deployed, and F-35 jets were pre-deployed. Mr. Speaker, that is why, since Saturday morning, multiple F-35s and Typhoons have been in operation not just in the Middle East, but across Cyprus. Further missions were flown overnight, Typhoons defending in particular Qatar, and F-35s defending other regional parties. We're resupplying our air defence missiles today. Wildcat helicopters with anti-drone capabilities will be in Cyprus this week, and HMS Dragon will be deployed to the Mediterranean. And of course, in agreement with the US, they're using our bases to conduct the operations to strike Iranian missiles and launchers. Mr. Speaker, that is the action that we are taking. That is the agreement that we've reached with the United States to protect our nationals.
As of today, the Strait of Hormuz is in effect completely closed, and it is through this vital strait that approximately 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas transit. The Suez Canal and the Red Sea are also currently under significant tension and seriously threatened. We are taking the initiative to build a coalition to gather the means, including military, to restore and secure shipping in these vital maritime routes essential to the global economy. This is in fact what we managed to do several months ago in the Red Sea. It's what we must do there today. In the face of this unstable situation and considering the uncertainties of the days that lie ahead, I have given the order for the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle, along with its aerial assets and its escort of frigates, to set a course towards the Mediterranean Sea.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, while speaking to reporters after the meeting with Donald Trump, said he told the US president their nations were on the same page when it comes to Iran.
Thank you, Mr. President, for having me here in this Oval Office for the third time now. Really happy to have the opportunity to speak with you in these challenging times. We are on the same page in terms of getting this terrible regime in Tehran away, and we will talk about the day after, what will happen then if they are out. We have to talk about our trade agreement, which I would like to be in place as soon as possible. And we have to talk about Ukraine. There are too many bad guys in this world, actually, and this is an issue we have to talk about because we all want to see this war coming to an end as soon as possible. But Ukraine has to preserve its territory and their security interests, and, well, we will talk about that.
Iran has unleashed a fierce retaliation in response to the US and Israeli strikes that began on February 28. The Iranian military has declared that it now controls the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared that it now controls the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points. In a statement carried by Fars F news agency, IRGC Navy official Mohammed Akbarzadeh said, quote, "Currently, the Strait of Hormuz is under the complete control of the Islamic Republic's Navy." He warned that any vessels attempting to pass through the narrow waterway risk damage from missiles or stray drones. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital shipping route for global energy supplies. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil and gas flows through the corridor, which lies between Iran and the United Arab Emirates. But traffic through the strait has now almost entirely halted following Iran's threats to set fire to ships attempting to pass. The escalating standoff has sent shockwaves through global energy markets. In response, U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States Navy is prepared to protect ships in the Middle East if necessary. Trump stated that the U.S. government would step in to prevent an energy supply crunch sparked by the U.S. Israel war with Iran. On social media, the president announced that he had ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation, the DFC, to provide political risk insurance and guarantees for maritime trade traveling through the Gulf. Trump said this coverage would be offered at a very reasonable price to ensure what he described as the free flow of energy to the world. He also pledged military escort for ships if necessary, saying protection would be provided as soon as possible. The announcement came as global oil and gas prices continued to surge, raising concerns about the potential impact on household energy costs worldwide. Following Trump's statement, oil prices dropped back slightly. However, uncertainty remains. According to data from Lloyd's List Intelligence, roughly 200 crude oil and product tankers are now stranded in the Gulf. At the same time, some insurance companies have sharply increased premiums for vessels operating in the region. An Iranian official had earlier threatened to set fire to any ship attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. There are also reports that the Iranian military has fired on several vessels in the area. Despite Washington's assurances, experts say the situation may not be easily resolved. Richard Meade, editor-in-chief of Lloyd's List Shipping Journal, said it remains unclear whether the U.S. president's measures will be enough to address the safety concerns driving the supply disruption. He pointed to previous Houthi attacks on ships in the Red Sea in recent years. Those incidents prompted many shipping companies to avoid the route altogether, choosing longer and more expensive alternatives, even with U.S. military intervention in place. Meade said, quote, "There was never really a point at which insurance alone would have prevented ships from going through the Strait of Hormuz." He added, quote, "Just because you've got a naval escort doesn't mean to say you're safe." Analysts are now warning that if the disruption to shipping continues for a prolonged period, crude oil prices could surge above $100 a barrel. Such a spike would have a significant impact on petrol prices globally, including in the United States, despite its substantial domestic energy production. The developments come as President Trump met with Energy Secretary Chris Wright and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to discuss plans to address the growing energy crisis. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump defended the war effort, saying something had to be done about the Iranian regime. He acknowledged that the conflict could lead to higher oil prices for a little while, but dismissed concerns about a lasting impact. "As soon as this ends," Trump said, "those prices are going to drop, I believe even lower than before." For now, however, one of the world's most important maritime energy routes remains effectively frozen, and the standoff between Iran and the United States continues to intensify. The Strait of Hormuz sits at the center of a rapidly escalating confrontation, with global energy markets watching every development.